Good evening, Jode. It's so nice to have you on the Education Superheroes interviews. Jode Drexler is an educator with over 30 years of experience teaching and training professionals around the world. It would be very difficult to sum up everything that she's done in a short span. So I'm just going to say that right now she's facilitating digital storytelling courses, and she's doing this to amplify youth voice in different societies. So thank you for being here, Jode, and welcome to the interview.
Thank you, Shyam, for inviting me. I'm really excited to have this conversation. You know, I felt pretty isolated from my face-to-face international community during the time of COVID. And it just feels really great to connect at this time in a Zoom room. 3 years, I think, since we worked together on a very innovative curriculum at the Institute of Indian Journalism and New Media. So thank you for reaching out. It's really meaningful to me.
Thank you very much, Jode. And that's kind of the purpose of the Education Superheroes interviews. I think when we were at IIJNM, the Indian Institute of Journalism and New Media, we were both from different contexts. I was just starting out as a teacher, and our conversations really helped me, and it resulted in a wonderful journalism curriculum that's still being used today at some level. So I think conversations between teachers is really valuable, and that's something that led to the formation of this interview series. So this is essentially to help teachers who are grappling with the transition from bricks and mortar classrooms into the virtual or hybrid classroom space, and a conversation with global educators with lots of experience in multiple contexts. I think this really helps teachers find their footing and perform at optimal levels in their new classroom environments. And I think it's really good that global educators are willing to collaborate and willing to have a conversation. Thank you.
I feel the same way. And you know that in my work, I've been committed to supporting youth voice and supporting teachers in helping students develop the creativity of their voices in the classroom and through the use of new technologies and new media. So my work with digital storytelling is in that vein. So I'm, again, really happy to be here.
Let's move on to the conversation that we are having today, and it's mostly about digital storytelling and storytelling, and I think the crux of it is the youth voice. So I'm working with SCORE Campus Singapore right now, and we've launched an exciting writing experience for students around the world. It's called The Right Story, and what we've done is we've given students a platform to find their voice and to explore their experiences during the pandemic and express it to a community of writers and educators around the world. And I know that you have been working with digital storytelling in Tajikistan recently, and that sounds really exciting. So could you tell us a little bit about your experience working in Tajikistan?
Sure. I've just finished an alumni grant funded by the U.S. Embassy in Dushanbe, Tajikistan, to work with youth voice, indigenous youth voice. And we just finished a digital storytelling project with the first 5 girls from rural Tajikistan who have shared their stories of challenge, of isolation and loss and grief during this time of COVID. So it really dovetails with the work that you're doing at SCORE Campus on the Right Story in encouraging young people to write through their experiences. So I've listened. I want to compliment you on the other interviews in the series that I listened to. Dr. Shobana Matthews, who's the director of creative writing and literature at Christ University, and she talks about the need for students to share the stories of the pandemic and to write from the condition in which they find themselves. And the young women that I worked with wrote from their experiences of isolation, and using the engaged methodology of digital storytelling came out of the processing the emotions, and ended with themes of connection and commitment, and courage. Those stories are on my website that I've recently launched to showcase the work that young learners are doing in the global context, and that's at jodebrexa.com.
Right. And when you were talking about this experience working with the Tajik girls about and helping them find their voice, I was thinking about digital storytelling as a form, and how digital storytelling as a form can be employed by teachers to help students find their voice in the new normal.
So digital storytelling is an engaged methodology where students write their narratives. It's a narrative-driven approach that comes out of Story Center, originally the Center for Digital Storytelling in Berkeley, California. And the narrative-driven aspect of digital storytelling is what is dovetailing really with the right story, that we start with the learners or the students' emotion and the moment that's the center of the story. And once the story is evolved, and that's about half of the process, is helping learners get to the crux of the story, the meaning, the center emotional meaning of the story. So then they begin to work with the technology. So they record their voices and edit them, and then add images that they've taken, music and themes to create a multimedia artifact. They use creativity by becoming creators of culture rather than consumers of culture, which I think is what we want to see among our youth, particularly at this time.
Yes, I completely agree with that, especially because a lot of young kids and a lot of people who may have lots of interesting things to say usually get stuck in filter bubbles and just liking and sharing content rather than producing it, especially with the capabilities of the Web 2.0 and with the ease of production today. I think more young kids should be out there producing content rather than simply sharing. How does digital storytelling link to identity formation, and how does that help dealing with the pandemic and the global situation today?
Well, I want to go back to another interview that I listened to, which was with Nick Peachy. And he
Yes.
says that because of the stress and the emotion of the pandemic, our students should be writing through it. And they should be capturing their experiences of the story, because actually this is a historical time. As students write and use the technology that's available to them, they are beginning to create a future orientation. So Davis, in his work with middle schoolers, shows that young people are actually able to construct identity through the process of digital storytelling. In other words, they tell a story, and at the end of the story, they come through with statements of hope or optimism or kinds of resolution. In the work that I've done with the Tajik young women, their theme of resilience helped them process these multiple emotions in order to come through the story and their own experiences of loss and isolation. So they came through the process with optimism and hope and commitment. And in fact, I just spoke with Zebo Muradova, who's the Tajik teacher I work with. Of course, this is a hybrid digital storytelling project in Tajikistan. I'm on a Zoom and video link here, and she's on the ground socially distanced with PPE with the young women in Tajikistan. And after they finished their stories, they identified themselves as digital mentors. These are rural girls who actually had no access to technology. Well, they had cell phones, but they didn't have any access to computers or even internet in the rural area of southwestern Tajikistan where they lived. Afterwards, they decided to cascade the project. And today, during this conversation, they're teaching 12 students in their school in an after-school program, the digital storytelling process, in order to share this powerful methodology with their peers who didn't have a chance to participate in the original group.
Wow, that's truly inspiring, because I feel when young women or young people around the world find a voice and then feel the need to let other people have a voice of their own and share their own stories, I think that's when the real learning and teaching value takes place. So I think that's a great story that you've just shared with us, and it really inspires all teachers around the world to get their students writing and to get their students sharing their experiences of what's going on in their lives right now. Because a lot of the times when we do set activities in class, and if it's too far removed from their own lives, there's very little investment that comes from the students, and that's one of the roadblocks that teachers usually find themselves facing when they're teaching language and when they're teaching young kids. But I think this approach to use digital storytelling and to get students invested by bringing their own stories into the classroom, I think that's a great way to spearhead the change.
That's why I love what you're doing with the Right Story, Shyam, because there are prompts I saw on the website for different age groups, not just high school students or middle schoolers, but all the way down to very young learners. And I think this idea of engaging students across the age group from elementary all the way to high school and post-secondary is a way to really capture youth voice. And I want to say to the teachers who are listening that digital storytelling is a really accessible methodology for students. Many of our students are digital natives, have digital literacy, and they have the technology. They know how to take photos and how to upload. And there are a lot of platforms out there. WeVideo, Movie Maker, iMovie, and new ones arriving all the time. But I want to offer teachers the support in learning how to structure and deliver a digital storytelling project. The process that comes out of Story Center in Berkeley is specifically shaped to help learners find their story before they jump into the technology. Our students know how to manipulate the resources that are available, but the process is deeper and more thoughtful. There are ethics involved. There are ways to support student engagement and the engagement of a community. So I would love to offer my support to any of the teachers and viewers that are listening around supporting the digital storytelling methodology.
I completely agree that there needs to be some kind of training before you jump into digital storytelling, because as I was preparing for this conversation, I thought I'd give it a try. And you know that I write poetry and I use images with my poetry. So I thought it would be pretty easy to kind of translate that into a digital storytelling format, but it really isn't, because you have to conceptualize it right from the beginning and start with the narrative and then see how the image plays out with the narrative over that 3-minute format. So I think there's a lot to learn, and that's why it's great to have you on board talking to us about digital storytelling. I'm sure that teachers will find this interesting and will take a look at ways to incorporate this into their classrooms, because world over, the curricula that were in place are slowly becoming redundant due to this massive transformation that we're going through. And I think this is the right time for teachers to explore and experiment with their students and really to make virtual education exciting.
So it's the right time, and that connects to Right Story and why the competition, which I think is on now, I think students can register now, gives students an opportunity to start the writing process. So I was excited to see in Right Story that you're using an image, a sign prompt to get students writing.
Actually a way for us to get students outside of their comfort zone and to give them one image which they need to incorporate into their story. So this is a really good way to see how different kids around the world see things differently. And no experience is same for two people. I think experiences are very unique and very individual, very personal. And that's the reason why we've designed the Right Story as it is. because we do want to try and promote individual, personalized, and differentiated experiences for our students. And the Right Story is not just a competition, it's really an experience that students can embark on. We have global educators and writers from India, from Malaysia, collaborating and presenting workshops for our students and helping them think about different ways of creative writing. And we also have the Indian Institute of Journalism and New Media coming on board and talking to students about writing as a career option. So it's really a full package, and registrations are open now. So I'd really encourage the teachers listening to introduce this experience to your students and to get them to register and be a part of this learning experience.
What I would love to imagine, Shyam, is a way for the writers in Right Story and the idea of digital storytelling to create some kind of synthesis so that some of your winners or learners from the Right Story competition have a chance to use the engaged methodology of digital storytelling to bring their voices to the internet, to the global platform. I just wanted to add that there's a digital storytelling form called One Snapshot. And in that form, a digital storyteller takes one image and then develops their narrative in resonance with the one snapshot, so that using a little bit of animation, a story and an image come together to create an experience for the writer first and also for the viewer. So I think there's a real synergy possible here between the Right Stories sign prompt and the idea of a one snapshot digital storytelling process.
I'm sure there is, and I'm sure that it will be an exciting idea to think about. And that's what I like about these conversations with teachers around the world, is that there's always something new that springs out of our conversations. And as it was 3 years back, our conversations led to a really innovative, cutting-edge curriculum. I'm sure that this conversation will lead to something exciting and something that students can look out for. Thank you so much, Jode, for your time today. And thank you for talking to us about digital storytelling and about the need to amplify youth voice.
Thank you, Shyam. Look forward to future collaboration.
Thank you.